Hello, I'm here today with Christie Coombs, whose life changed and her family's life changed forever on September 11th, 2001. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Christie, if you would, please share with us how your day unfolded on the morning of September 11th.
Well, I was at home. I had just sent the kids off to school, and I was standing in my kitchen, as I often do in the morning, watching the little TV on the counter, drinking a cup of tea. And I was waiting for a friend to come over we were going to go do a PTO errand in Rhode Island that morning. And I was watching Good Morning America, as I do every day. And I all of a sudden see the Charlie Gibson standing there with the news about a plane flying into the World Trade Center. And I called my mother-in-law, which was very out of sorts for me because my mother-in-law doesn't like talking on the phone. And I just called her and I said, "Oh my God, turn on the news. A plane flew into the World Trade Center." And Jeff often would go there for business. And I said, "Thank God today Jeff's on a plane to LA instead of in the tower." And so we chatted a little bit and I hung up and I continued watching. And as I'm watching, another plane flies into the second tower. And at that point, they started talking about terrorism and, what was happening.
And plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York.
So I started putting two and two together and thought, wow, that could really be his flight. But I felt kind of stupid thinking that was going to be his flight. So I went, he worked out of the house, but he also had an office. And I called his office and spoke to somebody. It was a new job, so I didn't know anybody there. So I rifled through his business cards upstairs looking for a business card to call. And I called and explained to them what was going on. And I said, "Could you please find out who booked his travel and what his travel information is?" So I go back downstairs and I continue watching, and I'm getting more and more nervous. Meanwhile, my friend calls and says, "I'm running a little late, I'll be there shortly." And I said, "Well, I'm not going anywhere until I know where Jeff is." And she says, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Turn on the TV, this is what's happening in New York, it's really bad. I think Jeff might be on one of those flights." Well, no sooner did I say that, and she started making calls, and my house started filling up with people. So through the course of the morning, it seemed more and more realistic that Jeff might be on one of those flights, especially when the person at Compaq called me back and said American Express booked his travel, and they said they booked him on flight 11. First thing I did was say, I need my kids home, because the three kids were all at school, and it was 1 o'clock, so they weren't due home for a couple of hours. So we assigned people to go get the kids. Two of them were at schools right next door to each other, the youngest and the oldest, and then my middle daughter was at a different school. So two people went to get the other two, and two people went to get the other one. And my daughter later told me that they called her down to the office, and when she walked into the office, they told her that I wasn't feeling well and I needed them home. And when Megan walked into the office, she said she saw everybody crying, and she knew that something bad had happened. And my son was watching Channel 1 TV at school that morning, and they saw the beginning of what was happening. Channel 1 TV is what they show in the schools, and he was in the 8th grade. And so as soon as the principal saw what was going on, he had the foresight to tell the teachers to turn off the TVs, knowing that there would be parents, might be traveling, and there was a chance that somebody could be involved. Mm-hmm. So thank goodness. Mm-hmm. And my son turned to his friend and said, "What kind of expletive would fly a plane into a tower on purpose?" And he had no idea that his dad was involved at that point, until he got home. And so my kids came home, and as soon as they turned the corner, there were cars lined all up and down the street, and everybody was at our house. They saw me standing on the front steps, and they all got there at the same time. And they came running up to me, and they said, "Mom, what happened? Is it Dad?" And I said, "Some really bad people took over Daddy's plane and flew it into the tower in New York, and now Daddy's not coming home." And, you know, it's hard to explain to kids who are 7, 11, and 13 how people can be that evil. And we did one of Jeff's famous group hugs. He loved the group hug. And so we stood there and hugged for a minute, and then we went inside and we sat on the couch, and I tried to explain to the kids. And you just can't. And Megan, you know, Julia totally didn't understand because she was only 7. And she sat on the couch and cried for a little bit. And Megan wouldn't let me out of her sight. She wouldn't let go. And Matthew went to his room, and he just needed to, you know, cry away from me because he was the big boy. And so, you know, we sat on the couch for a little bit, and then they went and did their own thing, and then people were there, and their friends started coming over, which was a huge help and a deterrent for them, which was really, really necessary.
What happened with the community, your friends and family?
Yeah, it was immediate. You know, people were coming by all day long. They were bringing food. I remember people in my front yard actually planting mums. Just they wanted to do something, and they wanted to do something to just, you know, give me something to smile about. And the next morning, actually I think even that evening, the restaurant down the street brought food over, and all the guys cleaned out our garage, swept it out, set up tables and everything, and brought food and set up food in the garage. They showed up again the next morning with all kinds of breakfast food and coffee, and they did that for 2 days. And then, you know, friends were just bringing food over, and the kids' friends were coming over, so people were bringing baked goods and pizzas and things like that. And then people started bringing checks, and they went and set up an account at the bank and put in there, you know, to donate to the kids' education fund. And come November, I had said to the kids, we need to do something to pay it forward. We need to do something to show people how much we appreciate what they've done for us. So a friend came to me sometime in the wintertime of 2001, 2002, and said, I want to have a golf tournament just to bring the community together around the first anniversary. And I said, well, Jeff hated to golf. The only reason he golfed was because for corporate reasons. So she says, how about a road race? And I said, yeah, that would be better because it would really incorporate the family. So let's make it like a family type day. So they put that together, and then I said, we need to have a place to put the money. So we created the foundation, the Jeff Coombs Memorial Foundation. It's been going strong for 15 years. They turned over the road race to me after a couple of years, so now it's put together by a committee and myself and my kids. And in 15 years, we've had every year about 1,000 people participate, sometimes 1,400. We raise anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 from it. And you know, this year we'll be doing the 15th anniversary. It's going to be on what would have been Jeff's 58th birthday.
Would you say that the giving back portion of what has happened has really made it a lot easier?
Absolutely. You know, people say to me all the time, I don't know how you do what you do. And I say, well, honestly, I do it for selfish reasons, because it gives me something positive to focus on. Because I could have gotten really negative. I could have just hated the people that did this to us, hated the whole race, hated the whole religion. But that's not the type of person I am, and I didn't want my kids to be that type of person. It's really something that has helped us get over the negative connotation of 9/11. And so the giving back and the foundation and the community service is really a vital part of our recovery.
Awesome. Well, as you know, HandsOn Santa Clarita Valley, we're all about that as well. We give back to the community by organizing labor to help other nonprofits to keep that unity, to keep that community efforts going, and just to continuously give back on a volunteer basis, because it's all about staying united.
I think that's
And,
awesome.
yeah, so what you do with your foundation and what we're doing are exactly on the same line. So I thank you so much today for interviewing with us today and
Sure.
telling us your story.
Well,
Thanks
thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Today, we pause to remember a day that tested our country. On September 11th, 2001, nearly 3,000 lives were lost in the deadliest attack on American soil in our history. We will never forget the images of planes vanishing into buildings, the photos hung by the families of the missing. We will never forget the anger and the sadness that we felt. The passage of time will never diminish the pain and loss forever seared in the consciousness of our nation. That's why, on this day, we pray with the families of those who died. We mourn with the husbands and wives, the children and parents, friends and loved ones. On this day, we also honor those who died so that others might live. The firefighters and first responders who climbed the stairs of 2 burning towers, the passengers who stormed a cockpit, and the men and women who have, in the years since, worn the uniform of this country and given their lives so that our children could grow up in a safer world. But on this day, we are reminded that at our best, we do not give in to this temptation. We stand with one another. We fight alongside one another. We do not allow ourselves to be defined by fear, but rather by the hopes we have for our families, for our nation, and for a brighter future. So let us grieve for those we've lost, honor those who have sacrificed, and do our best to live up to the shared values that we have on this day and every day that follows.